Welcome to Fractional Unfiltered, another episode on the fractional life, what happens out here, and what we need to think about. Today, my guest is Samantha Kearns. Samantha Kearns thinks about identity. She coaches on identity. Who are we in the world? What is our identity? How do we get familiar with it? Fractional is a life and a career where you are your own boss. You're not defined by a logo or a title or even a role. So today we talk about your identity and how that applies to your fractional life. Enjoy the show. Well, let's get started. Welcome everybody to Fractional Unfiltered. We are starting today with episode whatever. I never know what episode number, but they all matter and they're all important. This is where we have real great conversations about fractional as a career choice, fractional as an identity model, just being the next version of ourselves. And I'm very, very lucky to have Samantha Kearns with us today. She's our guest, and Samantha and I got to know each other as it's a whole new world through TikTok. That's how we met, is through TikTok. Both of us being influencers out there, and we've had conversations about identity. So we're going to talk about fractional and identity and the new world and who knows what else. Samantha, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm thrilled to be here and appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's get right into it. Should we? Let's just get right into it. I think identity, what I wanted to get for everybody who's listening and people going fractional and in career transition and all that, what I wanted to help with today is get everybody thinking a little bit more deeply about how identity plays a far more significant role. And I think I'll set the ground here a little bit, Samantha, based on what I teach and as I'm speaking and what I'm finding out, what people are struggling with. And that is this: people are tying their identity to their title, their role, or the logo that they worked for, which I think for decades was okay. Yeah. It doesn't really turn yourself inside out, but it's okay. It was a working model. And then when you think about what's happening now, all of that is just shattering in real time. 30,000 human beings at Oracle got laid off. Yeah. And if their identity was attacked, that was just last week. And then all of this identity change is happening at scale. And their logo and their title and their pride and their source of joy, poof, it just vanished. Wow. We are in an identity crisis, I think, right now. Okay, Samantha, it's your job to fix the world on this. Yeah. How do we think about it?
No, it's fascinating. I feel like I had a bit of a head start going through a similar thing, right? I was a corporate event planner. And COVID came around and my business went kaput overnight, really. And it was not only as my identity, but my sense of pride and who I saw the world as. And when you're forced to reevaluate that, it was a dark time for me. And granted, the world was experiencing things differently, but it really took a lot of conscious effort and work to not be I have failed, right? Because a pandemic or whatever, right? Do you know what I mean?
I do.
It was a huge pivot in my life.
Before that, had you thought a lot about it? Had you worked on it? Had it been part of right here in your face before that moment?
No, it hadn't. And I think that's partly a societal thing. I think it's partly sometimes we don't look at things until we need to, right? Until we have to. I'm not sure that without that nudge that I would have started down any of this path. And when I say nudge, it was more like a body slam.
All-star wrestling, huh?
Yeah, it was somebody had a chair and a table and it was a mess.
Really?
I think it's the kind of thing that if it's not broken, people don't feel the need to fix something.
Sure.
But also, I was so sick. I was having my tonsils out at 30. That's a big deal, right? That would nearly kill you. And there were so many signs in hindsight, but things it really took the world coming to a screeching halt for me to understand that difference.
Wow. Yeah. And it stopped for you, is what you're saying. It was on a path for years, and then everything hard brakes, slam, stop, airbag opens up.
Yeah.
It sounds like you were in a hot moment. What happened in that moment for you?
So it was such an interesting time, right? The event world went down in January of 2020. And so by the time the whole world shut down, I was welcome to the arena, right?
Yeah.
But it started me down. I took to long distance running, and that led to me. I had a really crazy freak accident, and it led to having to have my Achilles reconstructed. My point is
Wow.
like, instead of sitting in it, I fought it, right? And I spent a
Okay.
lot of time fighting it. And then, of course, now this is my entire line of work, right? So I've not only embraced it, but now I help other people before it gets to a point where like your whole world collapsed.
Crumbles. Yeah, and you've got nothing to hold on to.
Totally.
So that was, it's interesting you say that. My first the reason I created Voyager U
Yeah,
and Fractional and all of that was is a way to redefine myself.
totally.
Is like, yep, the whole world's changing. I don't want to be part of the old world. I
Mhm.
want to create a new reality. Sounds like you were going through the same thing. So it was first what you looked at identity as, I've got to build myself back up in a different way. How did you go about that?
I mean, it was kind of ugly, to be fair. It wasn't like a petite process. It was like this deconstruction of who am I without these pillars, right? Who am I without being in an industry that I love, right? With people that I care about. But the level of burnout and just my physical health was plummeting.
Mhm.
And I was like, I can't live like this anymore. And I just stopped fighting what was happening in my own life. And I just kind of followed one breadcrumb after another. And it led me
Mhm.
down, sound healing, breath work, nervous system regulation, neuroscience, as you do.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
and now I'm obsessed with taking what I've learned and kind of going back to get the others, where I'm like, when something like this
Yeah.
happens, like when we have job losses, when we have, a revolution like AI, how do we strengthen our inner discernment and our inner wisdom so that we can still maintain our humanity
Hmm.
without losing who we believe ourselves to be because something around us has shifted, right? How do we understand who we are so innately that we
Hmm.
become unshakable when things are going on around us? And that, I don't think anybody goes through that in like a really dainty way. I think you kind of go through it kicking and screaming.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, fortunately, you went through it, and you're turning around and helping others. Same thing here is like, I want others to follow a better path,
Yeah.
and I struggled through it, but now I have a lot to share. So, and I think that's obviously honorable to take what you've learned the hard way and maybe make it a little easier for people, because
It's
people are going through this by the millions right
And
now.
that's such a good point. I think it's like not only like the last step of like your own hero's journey, right? Is like sharing what you've learned and your testament to it, but like holding the door open, right? Like I
Hold the
think
door
about
open.
like carrying the Olympic torch,
Hmm.
right? Like you carry it
Yeah.
for a leg of the journey for someone while they find their own footing. And it's because people like you and I, someone helped me along the way, right? It may have come in
Hmm.
an odd way, but somebody helped, right? Through podcasts, through content, through
Hmm.
coaching. I had teachers that helped
Yeah.
because this isn't something you do alone and it's
No,
not meant to.
no worthy effort is alone. No good effort happens alone. Let's talk about that identity shift. Not necessarily for you. You can if you want to, but what I'm seeing as I coach people into fractional
Mhm.
is a real struggle
Yeah.
of letting go of the old,
Mhm.
and that is and then understanding a new version of yourself. I'm just, there's just a, and is the psychology here like, I'm holding on to it because it's the only thing I think that is firm? Is that what's happening? Like, well, who are you? Like, I'm a CFO. Okay, but tell me, like, you can't say that in a, like, that doesn't tell me about what's inside of you, right? Well, I don't want to go there. I'm a CFO. Like, is it because people are like, that's the only firm thing I could, what's going on there?
I love this question. That's neuroscience, right? Like your brain and your nervous system and your subconscious will uphold you believe you are to the ends of the earth, right?
Okay.
This is a self-protection mechanism, right? So when we understand that our bodies are built for safety, not for success, we will choose, there's that saying, right? You'll choose a familiar hell over an uncomfortable heaven every time. But
Hmm.
that's because your body associates the unknown with like, but what if you die, right? And you're like, I don't think I'm going to die, right? But it comes in at such a level that it's like your subconscious and your nervous system are working in cahoots behind your back, right? Where you're not
Yeah.
consciously and cognitively aware of it. So it takes actionable, intentional want to get to the bottom of it so that you can make different choices. Because a lot of what's running the pattern, it's like Oz behind the curtain for everybody. And until we
Hmm.
upgrade who we understand ourselves to be, we will run old programming 100% of the time because with your brain is built for prediction, right? It's like a pattern recognition predicting guru, which is incredible.
Hmm.
And it wants the path of least resistance. And your nervous system wants you safe. And that means predictable environments. So that's like, I'm a CFO because that is how I feel safe. It's how I identify with the world. It's who I believe I am. And so until we kind of dismantle what we're clinging onto with our fingernails, that
Hmm.
remains. Does that make sense?
It does. I'd love to have you say more about it because and what I'm curious about is it seems like those things that the body is built for safety and security,
Yeah,
but not for growth
correct.
or success. So that very real, I'm going to hold on to this thing tightly because I feel it's safe, is actually hurting us.
Correct.
And
Correct.
even if we cognitively understand that it's hurting us, I think I see people even just holding on to it tighter.
Correct.
What's going on there?
No, that's such a fascinating point, right? It's like the kind of thing where like we spend our whole lives trying to figure out who we are, whereas other people spend an hour with us and they're like, oh, I know exactly why.
Yeah, right, exactly. I got you pegged. You're easy.
Yeah. And so it's fascinating though, because your body, again, it's like if you think of your body like your best friend, right? Like it loves you more than anything in this entire world and it wants you to be safe and it wants you to be in environments where it knows you can survive. So whether that is like a familiar pattern from your childhood, a familiar work environment, because then we can get really into it and we tend to like not only date but marry our unfinished business. We tend to find that in our job opportunities. It's really kind of crazy. But that is a self-protection mechanism because
Mhm.
your safety above all else, right? It might not be the room you want to be in, but it is certainly a room you know how to exist and survive within. So thriving, manifesting, achieving our goals is not your body's priority whatsoever. So we have to make that new reality feel safe and non-threatening. And that happens through not only like one-on-one work, but it happens with like really simple things like going to the bathroom when you need to, like eating when you're hungry, taking a rest when you're tired. Because when your body doesn't think it's safe in your care, that's
Mhm.
where anxiety kicks in. You'll start sweating profusely, right? Like your body is trying desperately to get your attention and it will do drastic things. Think hives, gastrointestinal issues, right? Like your body is like, I will
And reject.
show
Yep.
down if you don't start paying attention here. And so it's a chemical absolute like neuroscience of how you're wired. So
Hmm.
we really have to make space and safety for all of it.
It's a job.
It's a
It's a
job.
job, and it is the grist that the mill requires right now, and I want to keep going on this thought of identity. So we're going to hold on to what we think is safe, despite even if cognitively we know that's probably not in our best interest,
Totally.
because our body is telling us that. How do we get people to start? What is that? Is that like letting go of two areas? Like I gotta let, like when you're a kid on the gym, like I'm gonna let go of this monkey bar and I'm gonna
Correct.
grab on that monkey bar, and it's that space in between.
It's totally it's that, but it's also understanding that when it's happening for you, it doesn't feel like, oh, I have an opportunity to make a challenging choice right now. It feels like the sky is falling, right? It feels
Hmm.
like death is imminent, right? Or like you're never
Hmm.
going to pay your bills again. Like I'll never get through that. It feels that real because it is for you because your body
Hmm.
is not only like letting you know that it thinks there's danger, but like it desperately wants you to be safe. So that again is like it's like the fire alarm being pulled. And so it
Hmm.
takes someone to help you see yourself to
Yeah.
move through that.
When does the body get the news that it's safe here in this new place? When does the body start to understand it's okay to let go? How does that take place?
That's a fantastic question. That happens through like a series of events, right? It
Okay.
happens with creating safety within yourself by paying
Hmm.
attention to what's going on. Noticing like instead of identifying with like, oh, I have anxiety, you start saying things like, I'm noticing anxiety, right? I'm noticing hunger, I'm noticing whatever, and letting your body know that not only are you listening, but that you're consciously putting yourself in safe environments, right? Like I take the time to go to yoga or to listen to my thoughts, right? It sounds so woo woo, but it is so true. It
Hmm.
takes safe people, right? You have to go to environments that make you feel good. Like if you are constantly going to family dinners that make you feel, angsty and fight or flight, like we've got to cut that back. We've got to
Hmm.
put ourselves in environments that make us feel good about ourselves. And then we need to start paying attention to the way we talk to ourselves. That inner
Mm,
monologue everybody has, or that inner dialogue most people have, isn't your voice, right? Those things were taught to you. And whether it was someone
mm,
sat you down and was like, this is how we talk about ourselves, probably not the case, but it is
mhm,
you as a child, you start observing the way your caretakers talk about other people, the way they talk about
mhm.
people with wealth, the way they talk
Yeah.
about people and the way they function in their family. And
Mm,
your body, especially when you're a child, it's epic. Like your nervous system is like chin down for all intents and purposes, and it is absorbing so much information a minute that it only filters up to your brain what is like mission critical, right? So your
mhm.
brain is a little out to lunch sometimes on what's going on, but your body has remembered. And
It's
so,
always there.
well, and it's fascinating because it's also like if I say no, if I put myself first, if I don't behave in the way that's expected of me, am I still cared for? Like as especially as a child, like am I still fed? Am I still loved? Am I still held? Am I still safe? And if not, like it doesn't have to be that you were eating out of a trash can, right? It can be that like I just wasn't given the care I needed. You will adjust accordingly to keep your caretakers happy because your survival depends on it. So
Hmm.
a lot of us are running programming from when we were children, right? And
Sure.
so until we update our subconscious and how we feel about ourselves, we're all kind of like hurt 6-year-olds running
Huh.
around.
Formative years. I think our career does some forming as well. I'm a
Mhm.
Gen Xer,
Okay.
and I don't speak for all Gen Xers, but I can generalize, I think, pretty well. And I think a lot of Gen Xers, they have a viewpoint of if they're not safe. Let's say the last the next article I'm writing about the dominoes of career falling, and like the last one falls, you still got 15 years left of career, but the last domino fell, like you're out of a job.
Yeah.
And I know Gen X feels this way. I don't know what the next generation is like. Unless I have that next thing locked, I'm not going to feel safe. Is and my identity ties to that. I won't feel safe. But what I'm hearing you say is, listen, you can feel safe
Yeah.
in your identity. It doesn't have to just be the replacement income or the job. Could you talk about that a little bit more? Could we save the Gen Xers from themselves here?
Yeah, totally. When you become a safe space for yourself, you stop needing the external validation, external pieces to define who you are. We also stop giving away our like autonomy, right? Our sovereignty we take back, right? When it's like, we don't need the external places to make us feel fulfilled, and that becomes by being someone that you can rely on, right? And so when we start thinking about things a bit differently, right, like I've been in this situation before and I made choices that benefited myself because I show up for myself because I always do, right? I always show
Mm,
up for myself, and I'm someone I can trust and I'm someone I can rely on. And taking that jump like you used with the monkey bars, right? Like that period between deciding a new outcome for yourself or a new identity, a new path forward, and the gap, the delta before it shows up,
mhm,
that's where the magic happens, right? A lot of people want the thing, but they're not willing to hang out in the discomfort of waiting for that
mhm,
thing to arrive. So they'll take the next possible thing and then they sell themselves short, right? And that's a society thing, that's a wiring thing, that's a scarcity thing, and none of it's wrong, right? That's the other thing. We cannot make change through shame.
mhm,
Period. We have to meet ourselves with kindness if we want long-standing change. Because if we're going to
mhm.
shame ourselves, our body's like, okay, like I'm not safe here, exactly like I thought I wasn't. And so we have to be able to meet ourselves with grace and with kindness and like repeatedly all day, every day showing up. It's like trying to lose weight by eating like one healthy meal, right? Like it is all
Yeah.
the time. Everything you do needs to be geared towards this. Does that
Oh
make
my
sense?
gosh.
Like it's
It does. I often think about our life and what we spend our time on is the amount of calories that you burn in a day and where should you spend your calories. And I think about it in people in transition right now, if you've been laid off or something like that. And people burn so many calories in the wrong places.
correct.
I don't blame them for it. I'm not judging it at all. It's like you just said it. Like you learned what you learned, you know what you know from what you learned until this date. And I think that if people burn equal amounts of calories, like I know people who are like, I got to go network because I lost my job. and they hate it, and it makes them feel diminished, and they don't know what to say, and they don't like strangers. I'm like, don't do it.
Yeah,
Don't
correct.
do it. Like, but I got to do it, or I'm going to upload my resume 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Right? Like, spend calories in building yourself up.
Hmm.
Don't look for external validation. Spend time on yourself because you're awesome.
And that's such a valid point, right? Doing more of what you don't like
Mm-hmm.
doesn't really start to make a lot of sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I hate this thing, so I'm going to pour into it, and
Yeah.
it becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like I know I'm going to hate this thing, I'm going to show up and do it, then you hate it, and you reinforce the pattern to
Mm-hmm.
yourself that you're not the priority, you're not willing to do the things that make you feel good because you're constantly doing things that make you feel bad or like unworthy or like you're not good enough, right? You just reinforce the cycle with yourself that is
Yeah.
just further keep you stuck. And
Oh my
so
God.
it's like getting comfortable being uncomfortable that like this will pass. Like it's like stopping on a cross country road trip and you're like, this isn't my favorite hotel, but I'm not moving in here. Or maybe I don't put my clothes in the drawers, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
we're just catching a few hours of sleep and we're moving through. Like the discomfort doesn't last, right?
Yeah.
But if you quit and you're like, oh my God, I live here now. I live in this
Oh, right.
terrible hotel now, right?
Yeah.
But again, it feels so real when it's happening to us that like this is all they'll ever be. And so when you can remind yourself that you've
Uh,
gone through hard things before and you'll do this again, right? And it's, just not quitting in I call it the mundane middle, right? Like the middle sucks. Everybody's middle.
how do you help people when they're between those 2 points, when they're hovering in the air, when they're
Yeah.
at the side of the motel on their
Mhm.
way to a greater destination, and they voice to you, Samantha, I'm I do not want to have a Schitt's Creek life. I am not staying in this little motel, right? That's not my intention.
Yeah.
How do you help them through that?
And that's such a fair point because it feels like it'll never end, but it does, right? And so the character and the grit and the
Mm-hmm.
routine that you build in that time while you're staying in Schitt's Creek, right? Like that's where you build the capacity to hold what it is that you're asking for, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if you're not willing to put in the work or the reps to get the thing that you say you want, by the time if that thing were to show up, self-sabotage is right there with you,
You're
right?
not ready for it.
Exactly. And so it's like I always say that preparation is proof of expectation, right? If you start preparing for the thing, it's proof to the whole universe, like energetically, that you
Mm-hmm.
believe it's coming, right? It's like you would write a
Sure.
book before trying to get an editor, right? Like the proof
Yeah.
you think you're going to have a book, right? It's the same kind of thing here. So in that middle, when it stinks, like it's like scheduling meetings with yourself like you would with a client, right? It's
Yep.
doing all the things. It's building the presentations, it's building the speech, it's showing up, it's practicing for a podcast, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's showing up and putting it out there and
Yeah.
taking yourself seriously because before you know it, you're sitting here on a podcast talking about the things that you were just squawking about a year ago, right? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it really does show up, but if you're not willing to like put in the reps and maintain the vision until your 3D reality changes, then maybe you don't want it bad enough, right? Like,
Or maybe you're afraid,
yeah,
or any
and
any
that's
number of things. Maybe you've got some trauma.
totally.
You write something, and some of you write some of your content. To perform well is to have, I think you say, an unshakable belief in yourself,
Correct. Yeah.
and to have an unshakable belief. This is coming back to identity. I told you it's the identity podcast. That's it. This is the identity podcast. It's the
Yeah.
identity episode, but how do you help people? How can we help people like, okay, time to start to help you get an unshakable belief in yourself at a moment that you're not feeling that right now. You've just been laid off, or you're burned out, or you're worried about the AI, like this place where it's like, I'm
Yeah.
not feeling it. How do you help people there?
I think the first thing that like the most practical is we unplug the shoulding, right? Like stop shoulding yourself, right? I
Hmm.
should do this, I should do that. Like, we really need to just meet ourselves where we're at, right? Like, this is uncomfortable and I hate that this happened, right? Because suppressing the rage or the fear or the anxiety just makes it worse, right? So we need to be able to feel our feelings first off. We don't let
Hmm.
them drive the car, right? Like, much like we wouldn't let a child screaming for McDonald's drive the car home just because they asked, right? Like I love you and I see you and
Hmm.
I'm here to take care of you, but we are not doing that. It's the same thing with these big feelings, right? Like you feel them and we lovingly like buckle them into the third row of seats in the car, but you're in charge, right? Like you still get to do the thing and it's doing it even though you have the fear, right? Fear is, my coach says all the time, fear is just a feeling, not a fact, right? Like it's just data. And it's
Hmm.
successful people feel that feeling and do it anyways. Nobody gets to cut the line on that. Like Jeff Bezos doesn't not have fear, right? He's just
Hmm.
mastered it to a level that now it's second nature and whatever it is his day to day looks like, right? Like
Yeah.
it's honoring that and then not letting it stop you. And if you really want to make an impact, then we get into like subconscious reprogramming. We get into all kinds of stuff where we get into the trauma or the narrative we've been telling ourselves, what's holding us back, and what lens are we looking at our life through so that we can upgrade that, so that we can upgrade our identity, right? And then it all
Hmm.
flows together. But it is a conscious process.
I don't know that there will be a time in my life, I don't think that's going to be as transformational as the time we're living in right now. And, I'll go back to when you had your big moment at the beginning of COVID. I think about this, like the decade 2020 in the history books is going to be like, it's going to be crazy. You know what I mean?
It's
It's
gonna be
just
tough.
like the decade before, the decade after, and then the decade that is 2020, you're going to go,
Yeah, whole book.
what
Yeah.
was that?
What's that?
What was that? We had COVID and we had layoffs and AI
Right.
taking all these jobs and human beings having existential crisis over their identity because of it. Like,
Mhm.
whew, it's exhausting.
And we got through it, right?
You get through it. There is another side.
Mhm.
Transformation always creates opportunity. So, let's talk about the other side of it, right? Like there is light at the end of the tunnel. It's different, right? The side of the argument I take is this is the era of independence now. We are moving, like you have to find your identity. What did you say? You have to perform at a high level, which means you have to have an unshakable belief in yourself.
Mhm.
And that will create infinite opportunity for you. Let's start with you. How did you develop that for yourself? How did you do that? How did you get there?
That's a good question. I started small,
Mhm.
but I started becoming someone I could trust, right? So I did the things I said I was going to do, whether that was
Mhm.
like, I'm going to go for a walk in the morning, or
Mhm.
I'm going to, right? I don't start with like, I'm going to run an ultra marathon, right? Like start
Mhm.
on things small because you need to be
Mhm.
able to follow through on the thing that you say you're going to do. Because if you don't, your brain clocks it as cognitive dissonance, right? Like, okay, we're
Mhm.
not someone we can trust. We don't actually do the things we say we're going to do. But start small, like make a big game plan of like, okay, 6 months from now, these are the things I want to do. And then you make that into like, if in 6 months from now I was someone who lived this kind of a lifestyle, or like we made it through COVID and I came out the other side, do I know how to bake bread? How did I spend my time, right? If who I am on the other side of this looks like whatever you've put together, what does that need to look like on a daily basis, right? Like, so if
Mhm.
I'm someone who runs marathons. Like I probably need to get some running shoes, right? I should probably
Mhm.
learn to eat in a way that supports running. Maybe I start with
Mhm.
a couple of trips around the block. Maybe I walk first, right? But like, you build it into a way that like you'll have that sense of accomplishment every time you complete something. I'm going to reach out to 10 people this week on LinkedIn, right? I'm going to do whatever that is for
Mhm.
you, and you follow through on it, even and especially when it's just like uncomfortable and there's
Mhm.
discomfort in it, and you have to be able to feel that feeling and do it anyways,
Mhm.
and show that you are someone that will show up for yourself. So for me, becoming this version of myself, I constantly reflect on all the past versions of myself whose shoulders I am standing on to be here now,
Sure.
right?
Mhm.
This is a culmination of effort. This isn't like I woke up and things were different, right? Like it is a conscious choice day
Yeah.
in, day out to become someone that I really like, right? I
Yeah.
would pick me over anybody in a crowd. And that's a cool thing to say. And I certainly couldn't have done that 6 years ago, right? Like, and
Mhm.
It's something though that takes effort, and that's really cool. And you surround yourself with people who feel that way.
Was your 2020 moment in retrospect a gift?
Oh, absolutely. I didn't feel that way about it for probably a
Right.
couple of
Not at
years.
the time.
But absolutely. And I think that's where like everything that feels almost like punitive or punishment or brutal, right? When we can sit in it and go through it, and then the important part is acknowledging the opportunities that came out of it, right?
Mhm.
Because our brain is a prediction master, it's going to want you to have the same set of scenarios and then a predictable outcome, right? And this is where subconscious reprogramming, this is where like the neuroscience of your nervous system gets fascinating, because when we can have a nearly identical situation happen again, and this time we know that we will choose different, or we actively choose different, we get to rewrite what didn't go well in the past, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah,
Like,
it does. Yeah.
it's cool, whether it's a job interview, a work project. It doesn't have to be as big as a pandemic, right? But it can certainly be like the last time I was in the grocery store and I was in this long of a line, I didn't pick well. I had a bad attitude. But this time, right? This time is, the time I'm going to change that, or like identifying what came after the unfortunate event, right? Like COVID allowed
Mhm.
me the time and the space to get to know myself in a way that was painful.
Mhm.
But look at me now, right? Like now I have all of this stuff that I wouldn't have had if I
Were
hadn't.
it not for
Yeah.
that moment. And what you're describing, it's what I ascribe to, and a lot of what we teach is the transformation isn't a big giant weekend on a retreat somewhere. Those are wonderful, they really are, but it is small, deliberate steps taken in a consistent, rigorous way.
And that I feel like deserves like a whole period, full
Moment.
stop, right? Like that, it is showing up in those small moments, right? It is choosing a different outcome. It's choosing to like stand in line at the grocery store and be excited about the opportunity to take a minute to do some deep breathing, right? Whatever it is, right? Or to like think something kind about someone else, whatever, right? I think we get into trouble when we think that transformation is at the end of the marathon, right? When it's
Hmm.
learn about yourself through the diligence of showing up, right? When we go through hard things, we give ourselves an opportunity to like fall more in love with ourselves for the way we handled something. And that deserves as much of a celebration as like having a baby, right? Like, oh my
It's for
God.
sure.
Yeah,
There are some generational things there. I think it's interesting and not necessarily just generational, but life stage. Parents, for example, you adopt, and kind of depending on how you're raised, but somewhat of the reality is I come last.
sure.
That's a parenting thing, but it's a Gen X thing, and it's definitely a boomer thing. Is like, yeah, we don't spend time on ourselves. What are you talking about, Samantha? Make space for me? Where
Yeah.
does that come from?
Yeah.
I think millennials, and I think the next generations are very good at that.
Mhm.
I think they get criticized for it, but I'm like, it's survival.
When I think it's also because we've watched, like as an elder millennial myself, I think it's also we watched, our parents and
Mhm.
those that came before us never put themselves first. And I'm like, I don't want that. Like, no, thank you. Right.
Mhm.
Like the American dream, not to get too far into it, but like the vision I watched my parents have and the lifestyle they have is not what's still available as readily.
At all.
So doing things different is mandatory, because if I were to do what they did, right, I'm never going to retire from one company with a pension and have several homes. And you know what I mean? Like that's
Yep.
just not the way it works. And
Yeah.
you have to adjust. And if anything, it should be with a sense of pride that we look at the generation behind us and be like, wow, like I look at Gen Z and they're like, I don't drink alcohol. And I'm like, that's incredible, because my generation did not know there was another choice, right? Like, and although I don't
Hmm.
drink alcohol anymore, it's
Hmm.
certainly, I didn't know you could pick different. And it's cool to
Right.
watch the younger generations do things differently intentionally based on what they're seeing. That's fascinating, I think.
Yeah. The computer just did a little move for a second. Sorry. It just did a little move.
Yep.
It is fascinating. I'm gonna do a little record thing here. Hold on.
Yep.
Pausing for a second. Okay, it's recording. Little pause. We'll fix that in edit. We'll fix
I
that in
love
edit.
it.
Generational things. Whatever generation you're in, I think it's always healthy to think about, like, make time for yourself no matter what. Do you think, like, how do you think of now, like 2026, transformation, change, what was before isn't good? Like, how do you make sense of kind of this moment we're in?
Yeah.
It feels so big. How do you organize your brain around that?
Um, First off, it is big, so I think that's fair. And I
Hmm.
think it's the understanding that there's only so much I can control, right? I'm in charge
Hmm.
of me. I'm the captain of this ship, and how I feed myself, how I dress myself, the way I enter the world, and the energy that I carry with me is my only thing I can control, right? If I were to get spun up over what's happening, I would get spun up, right? Like I would be
Hmm.
a mess. And so it's, for me, it's like limiting the things that really stress me out that I can't control, right? Like I have a very
Hmm.
small window that I can take in for the news, right? I have a very small amount of time I spend with people who dysregulate me, right? Like I can't, I'm not willing to force myself to endure things that I hate just
Hmm.
for the sake of saying I did it, right? And that also becomes someone, like if I wouldn't ask my best friend or my best friend's kids or someone I really really care about, if I wouldn't ask them to withstand it, why am I asking myself to do it? And I think
Yeah.
when we start to realize that there is no prize for putting ourselves last other than the cost of our own health, our mental well-being, right? It's, we start to shift things, right? And that's where I
Mhm.
think millennials have an interesting stance on this. It's like we are working so hard to undo the generational trauma we watched our grandparents and our parents have, our caretakers. And when you can peel that back a layer and realize that everyone was doing the best they could with what they had, and it's okay still if your needs weren't met, like that's okay. And
Mhm.
without needing to blame anyone or assign ourselves as a certain role here, we get an opportunity to choose different, but it's the decision, right? That decision comes down to every individual of like, do I want to continue living like this? Like, are the habits I have, the way I take care of myself, the way I eat, the way I show up in the world, is that something that I feel like reflects myself? And is that something I'm proud to?
Those are big questions. That
Huge, huge.
those are big, giant. Like, you're just a lot. I watched a little news clip this morning. Like you, I really limit my news, but there was a reporter they were talking about. People are just trying to survive the day.
Correct.
That seems to be where they are right now. It's like, and this isn't any particular segment of society. Just like as a world, it's like I just kind of need to make it to I just want to survive today,
Correct.
and that does something to you. If you're just trying to survive the day, what you focus on, like self time, boy, if you're just trying to survive the day as a society, that's just not sustainable.
Yeah, it's true. And it's interesting that you say that too, because there's also a level of like, we can't begin to do like the deep generational healing and things while we're in a period of survival. Like, if we are just trying to get through the day, then it really becomes important, like how you choose to eat, right? Even if we're looking at like really affordable options, we still need to find things that make us feel good, right? And
Mhm.
we need to stop shitting ourselves then and shaming ourselves, because we can't
Mhm.
make sustainable change through shame. So if
Mhm.
that's like, even if we're like, hey, I need to eat through the drive-through because that's where I can afford to be, do it with joy, right? Like, oh, I'm so
Mhm.
grateful that I get to eat here and have this thing that, whether it's good for me or not, that I like, because
Mhm.
the last thing that will help in this situation is shame or feeling behind or like we need to, I'm not where I need to be and I should do this. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
those are so powerful. Should, expectations,
Yeah.
guilt, shame, fear,
Yeah.
imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
I think people are getting a flavor of this at scale right now,
Correct.
which has a societal thing. There's a little comfort in that when you know, like, well, me and 29,999 other people at Oracle got laid off. It's not just me.
Mhm.
There's a little comfort in that, but that's like the comfort of war, right? Well, we're all in this together, but it's still goddamn war.
Totally. Totally. It's like when COVID, everyone's like, we're all in the same boat. I was like, no, we are not, right? We were all in different boats in a very similar storm, but very different
Hmm.
boats. And I think
Hmm.
even acknowledging that like, that's where you need to be able to be in your feelings for a moment. Well, again, we don't let them drive, but like it's real what's happening. This level of like disruption needs to be felt and honored so that you can eventually move through it. We cannot move
Mhm.
past things that we have not felt. And that's just the
Mhm.
science
You
behind
can't
it.
do it. You can't, if you haven't felt it, if you don't go through it, you can't
Correct.
repeat what was there before, but you have to go through it. And I guess that's a great thought for everybody is as we all go through, for the people we teach, like you're going fractional. I get it. You don't know what it is. You don't know how to do it. We're going to teach you there, but you're still crossing a bridge from one thing to the other.
Yeah.
You can't get there successfully unless you feel it.
Yeah. And what a cool thing that is to be able to
Yeah.
create a space for people to feel like the fear, the excitement that like, oh no, am I allowed to do this? Like,
Mhm.
but this defeats and breaks the mold of what I thought I had to do or should do or like needed to do to be making, a name for myself or whatever. And I think when we can start to reframe that of like, how cool is it to be able to go fractional and work for 6 different companies and make a name for
Mhm.
yourself with your network is gonna like, I don't even know what 6 times is like, we're gonna
Yeah.
beyond quadruple it, right? Like we have an opportunity to make such an impact and like how exciting is that? And so when we reframe the way we word the doubt, the fear, the worry,
Mhm.
it lands differently in our body, right? It's there's a ton of really cool science about like if you're going to eat ice cream and you eat it with shame, your body digests it different than if you eat it with joy.
Wow, really?
So it's the same kind of thing here when you can be like, how exciting that I get this opportunity to go fractional and do something I've never done before that there is there's no real playbook, right? Like it's not like you can look to your parents and be like, what did my dad do? Like how are my
Mhm.
friends handling this? When you are the one that's paving a new way, this is where you have to get that unshakable sense of yourself that like I'm someone I trust. And if this is going to be the path for me, I trust that I'll make good choices for myself. And if for some reason, I go here and I decide to go somewhere else, then I trust myself then too, right? But that's
Wow.
where the becoming someone you trust because you eat when you're hungry, you rest when you're tired, you will show up as a full person in every scenario, knowing that you have your back. And that's priceless.
You are not the 2020 version of Samantha Kearns.
No, no, but it would make me cry if I really got into it because I did not know that this version of myself was possible. I couldn't have even wanted for it because I didn't know that I was in a place that was making me kind of unhappy or burnt out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't know what I didn't know. And now that I
Hmm.
have a better understanding of at least what I didn't know then, now I'm infinitely excited for the future because I have done the heavy lifting to become someone that I
Hmm.
love. And that's epic, right? Like that's something
Yeah.
that the future then gets really exciting despite all of the chaos.
So you're not event planning any longer.
What's interesting is it's funny you say that. I have an opportunity to bridge both worlds
Oh, you
coming.
do? Okay, good.
So we'll see because it's a really cool opportunity to take like the high stakes of live events and
Hmm.
merge it with like human optimization, right? And how do
Oh,
we blend those two? So
kind
it's
of creating a new reality.
creating.
What I was going for is like, how are you making your living now,
Yeah,
having gone through these crucibles?
absolutely. And so it's interesting, right? It's funny the way your past can come back. And I think from a neuroscience perspective, there's a lot of really cool data that comes to me when it's like, oh, I have an opportunity to potentially blend both worlds. But it's also cool to be like, is that what I want, right? Because the way
Mm-hmm.
I make my income now is through one-on-one coaching. I do a lot of corporate wellness, whether that is talking about how your team performs better when they feel safe,
Hmm.
whether that's sound healing or all kinds of stuff like workshops in the community.
Hmm.
But it really is that one-on-one, it's usually leadership focused.
Hmm.
Like I have a job promotion that I want. I want to be somewhere that I'm not, whether that is again
Hmm.
work-wise or personally. And then
Hmm.
I help you tick down all the things that are standing in the way of that.
Uh,
So it's through that one-on-one.
Coaching, because you've gone through it and
Correct.
you realize I could take this experience and help others use this to their own benefit.
Absolutely. And I think when you have someone who's lived it and done it,
Hmm.
and studied it, but it's not like I read a theory and I'm out here telling you the theory I've
Hmm.
read. I
Yeah,
have blood, sweat, tears,
yeah,
sleepless nights, and that's really cool to be able to have taken
yeah.
a mess I felt like I inherited and made it into a mission. And that's something I
That's
infinitely
I
proud
love that. That's what I do is
of.
I went through the crucible of I
Yes.
have no idea what fractional is and the sleepless nights, and now I know and I can share that with others. What is that
Yeah.
great line? There's 2 points in life: the moment we understand our gifts, and the second when we no, our two jobs. One is to understand our gifts, and two is to share them with the world.
Right. And how cool is that? I feel like that becomes, I mean, you're getting out of bed in the morning with a purpose, right? Like you're
Mm-hmm.
getting out excited, but there's a time that wasn't the case, right? And so you've
No,
taken it,
no.
you know, right? Like where you
Mm-hmm.
reframe your mindset and you're like, hang on, this is something that will benefit people because
Mm-hmm.
I certainly would have loved if someone could have sat me down and been like, here's a playbook for how
Yeah.
you can navigate this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And saved me probably thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours of anxiety.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, again, talk about burning calories in the wrong direction, anxiety. Do you, oh my gosh. So, there's so many things I want to uncover, but I know we're coming up to the last few moments here. Do you think that this hot moment we're in where everything is changing, do you think we are in the middle of it? Do you think we're getting to the other side? I'm not going to hold you to it, but do you see enough change in the world and the people you coach, like, we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay.
I think we're going to be okay. Because I think there's like a collective awakening, if we want to call it. Like, I think people are starting to understand that life is changing, much like COVID introduced us to remote work, right? We're
Hmm.
watching how that has impacted the way we go into an office or not, right? You and I are able to do this via Zoom, and it's not, we don't even think about it anymore. There's a
Mm-mm.
time that this would have felt probably awkward of like, should we be in the same room? Do we travel? And so it's fascinating how adaptable and agile we are as human beings, right? Like
Mm.
we are built to for evolution, right? To like evolve. And so it's not being this is a huge change, right? This is a big deal. But I also think we're really resilient as
Hmm.
people and as a society. And I think as we start to watch what's happening around us, both in terms of like government and the theory that what we've been told isn't necessarily holding up, right, as the truth,
Hmm.
or we're banding together more than we've
Mm.
ever have. And I think that level of support is really cool to be watching and witnessing. And I
Hmm.
think being able to help people return to their own sovereignty is the gift of a lifetime. Like that,
That's the thing.
right? Isn't
That,
that
that's
so
that's the
freeing?
that's the mission I am on is self-sovereignty, career freedom.
Yes.
I feel like we got off script on our humanity for about the last 70 years. I think we gave too much to work. And I want to put this the right way. I think we let go of our self-sovereignty in exchange for some level of comfort that didn't turn out to be comfort at all.
Right. And there's like a good phrase in there that I feel like I'm going to butcher, but it's something about like, um, it's from a movie about kids believing in Santa Claus. Like, is it better to have a lie that makes you feel good, or the truth that brings a little bit of sadness, right?
Hmm.
I think that's the cusp we're on of like, oh, this like false comfort that I've been putting all of this stake into isn't real. And
Hmm.
that ripple that's happening, it has to happen, right? We have to go through this to have
Yeah.
the awakening and the community. Like you don't get to the other side of this by not going through it, right? We can't go
Not without
around
going through
this.
it. Nobody gets a free pass on that. No one gets to skip the line. And
Correct.
and and I believe when I help people and I coach them through this and I teach them through this, I'm like, I know this is hard.
Yeah.
I know it's different. I know
Yeah.
it doesn't. I know it's even counter to your conditioning.
Yeah.
But never forget that self-sovereignty, like this is inherent programming.
Yes. And
We're
and
we're actually good at self-sovereignty.
we really are, and we're really wired for it. And so there's this level of like letting the things crumble that are being taken from you. It becomes that like let go or be dragged kind of a thing, right? Like
Hmm.
there's a point where like we need to feel the feelings, but like we need to also then band together and help each other move through it, because this doesn't have to be what defines us, right? Like this
No.
gets to just be the next
Yeah.
step in the really cool part of our evolution. And I feel like you and I went through this a bit ahead of the curve. And
Sure.
now to be here and helping other people that are having like a really intense time is
Yeah.
beautiful. That's
It,
a
it, it is. I mean, I like data. I like stats, and I like to kind of see, from Minnesota. I always liked the phrase, skate where the puck is going.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that people talk like, where are we going as a society? Where are we going as a workforce? What does all this look like?
Mhm.
All of that these are good questions to ask.
Yeah.
But I think the arc is bending back towards independence.
I do too.
I think we're realizing that we're awesome as we are, and we don't need our identity attached to anything else,
Yeah.
or our wealth, or our happiness.
And I think that's it, right? That like that whole mentality, like my dad used to say, he who dies with the most toys wins. And I think we've moved past that kind of an
Right?
ideology that like as long as I really like myself and I'm really content with who I am, everything
Mhm.
else will be okay.
Yeah. How dare you be happy without your, 9,000 square foot home? Who do you think you are?
And that becomes kind of the mentality of people watching you go through this. At first, they're like, "Who do you think you are that you can do that?"
Yeah.
And it becomes like, "Who do you think you are that you don't, right? Or that you
Yeah.
choose to go through the discomfort to let it shape you. You really get forged in the fire, right?" And that's the other thing. We'll watch people go through this, and some people will use this to better themselves and become versions of themselves they couldn't have even imagined.
Imagine.
And we'll watch
Yeah.
other people really kick and scream and put some stakes down in the ground that, this
Mhm.
is where their evolution may pause for a while. And both are okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I like the way you put it is it's a moment between 2 points is
yeah.
all.
Yeah.
And there's going to be discomfort there. And you can't get to the other side without it.
And who you would become on the other side of this without going through it couldn't handle what's coming, right? Like you
No.
have to have that pressure
Yeah.
to become the version of you that can really sustain
Yeah. Yeah.
what's
Oh,
coming.
wow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, Samantha, I am so thankful that you joined us today
Me too. Thank you. This
and
has been such a treat.
shared your journey and all of that. And for those of you listening and watching and on the treadmill listening to the podcast and all that, you can look up Samantha. What's your handle on TikTok? Is it Samantha Kearns?
Yeah, Samantha Kern's coaching.
Okay, Samantha Kearns Coaching. So do all the Google things, the TikTok things. It's all as simple. Go to chat and say, where can I find Samantha Kearns?
Yeah,
You'll
I'll
find
come
all
along.
the information, and I'll continue to follow you
Perfect. Me too.
because it really really does help me. I limit my scrolling time, but I like my algorithm right now
Me too.
because I got good stuff in it. Yeah. So
It's also a reflection of what's going on inside of you, right? Like because
yeah,
you engage with the things that make you feel good, you get
yeah.
rewarded with more good. It's
That's
cool.
interesting because my algorithm today, you came across it.
Yeah.
With some
Came across
content
mine.
about identity
Yeah.
and belief, and then the other part of it was crappie fishing videos. So whatever my algorithm is, I love it as it is right now. Like whatever the system has said is important to me, I'm like, you're getting it right. That's all I really care about.
I love that. I love that.
There'll be some Labrador puppies every now and then in there as well. So there's that. So thank
That's
you so much, Samantha. I really
thank you
appreciate
so
it
much.
today.
I really appreciate you. Thank you so much.